First, I need to open the browser, open the URL called krninformatics.com slash frames slash frames. Under this, I need to type Pratap in this text box. I need to type Pratap in this text box. I need to open this browser, open this particular URL, and open the browser, open this particular URL, and open the browser, open this particular URL. After that, I need to type Pratap in this username text box. In this username text box, that is inspect name equal to name one. I need to type Pratap here. I need to type Pratap here. I need to type Pratap in this username text box. Open the browser, open the URL. But it will open the browser, it will not type Pratap. Why? Why? Because this element is inside a frame. This element is inside a frame. Sir, how can I come to know that whether that element is inside a frame? What is meant by a frame? Why it will not work if it is inside a frame? That is what we are going to see now. Why it will, these are the things. And how to make it to work, those things we are going to see. First and foremost, I want to come to know whether this, how can I come to know that whether this element is inside a frame? How can I come to know that whether that element is inside a frame? Okay. How can I come to know that whether that element is inside a frame in the sense when I right click on that element, in the context menu, it shows this frame. It shows that this frame, which means that this element is inside a frame. How can I come to know that whether that element is inside a frame? What? Click. Yeah, when we do right click on the element, it shows this frame, which means that that element is inside a frame. Which means that this element is inside a frame. Okay. Sir, we came to know that whether that element. Sir, why it won't work if it is inside a frame? What is meant by a frame first of all? What is meant by a frame first of all? If you want to know that, first and foremost, understand what is meant by a frame. For example, if you have, I have a photo frame in my house. Just I have photo frame in my house. I have photo frame. I have a photo frame. I have my photo, my parents' photo. I have parents' photo. Parents' photo, and I have my family portrait photo. I have my family portrait photo. I have my family portrait photo. Okay, if I want to put one photo inside another photo, it is not possible. If I want to put one photo inside another photo, it is not possible. If I want to put one photo inside another photo, it is not possible. That's why what we are going to do here, if I want to put one photo in, they'll create a frame. They'll create a frame and start putting the elements inside a frame. Start putting the elements inside a frame. In the same way, when it comes to the point of website, when it comes to the point of website, There is a text box, there is a checkbox, there is a checkbox. This is how the website looks. Now, there are three HTML pages. This is one HTML page, this is one HTML page, and this is one. If I want to put one HTML page inside another HTML page, if I want to put one HTML page inside another HTML page, if I want to put one HTML page inside another HTML page, then we need put one HTML page inside another HTML page, then we need to start creating the HTML page inside the frames. Uh, See, I'll show you the code. They have to create a frames and start putting the HTML pages. There are three HTML pages. This is one, totally three. Same way, let me show you the source code of this so that you will understand. Click inspect. So the maximum. Now see, this is that element. This element is inside this HTML. This HTML page is inside this frame. Under this frame there will be one more HTML. Under this frame there will be one more HTML, that is this HTML page. See, inside this frame there is one HTML, inside this frame there is one HTML, inside this frame there is one. All these three frames are inside the main HTML. At the back end of this there is one main HTML. On top of that you have these three frames. Inside these frames you will have HTML. Okay, this is how. Now by default your focus is in this HTML. From this HTML you need to switch to this. This is the zeroth frame. Frames always start with zero based index. Frames always start with zero based index. This is the zeroth frame, this is the first frame, and this is the second frame. Zeroth frame, first frame, and second frame. Zeroth frame, first frame, and second frame. 0, 1 and 2. 0th frame, first frame and second frame. In that case what I have to do, I need to, from the default frame, now by default your focus is in the default frame, that is this frame. From this frame I need to switch to this frame, that is the first frame. This is the 0th frame, first frame and second frame. I need to switch to the first frame, then only I have to start working. Have you understood what is meant by a frame, guys? Everyone?
Yes.
Yes. How can I come to know that whether that element is inside a frame? Right click on the element, it shows this frame, which means that that element is inside a frame. Now I need to switch to this first frame and I have to start working, then only it will work fine. Hope you guys have understood. Driver dot switch to dot frame. 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 Frame integer, string and web element. Driver dot switch to dot frame integer, driver dot switch to dot frame string, driver dot switch to dot frame web element. Frame integer, string and web element. Now driver dot switch to dot frame, I am going to go with the integer. See, frame method is a overloaded method. What is meant by overloading, guys? What is meant by overloading? Sir, we are excellent, we are doing anything. Those guys can answer now. Show your excellence here.
Main frame has another.
I didn't ask that. I asked what is meant by overloading. I didn't ask anything about frames concept here. I am asking Java concept which I have taught to you already.
Method overloading.
The function name is same, the parameters
Hello.
No, is it so? Is there anything called functions in Java? I don't see.
For executing same method in the same class n number of
Having multiple methods with the same name.
Any other answers? Sudha, not even opening the mouth also. Not even
Having
unmuting.
multiple
No,
methods.
sir, I know the answer, but I'm keeping quiet still.
Why?
No,
Why are you keeping quiet?
I
Did I
don't
tell
know.
you to mute your microphone?
No, not like that.
Anyone can answer. Everyone have rights to answer.
It's
Tell
something
what.
like one name, many forms.
One name money forms.
Yeah.
Then what is
Like that.
polymorphism?
Okay, but you also have the answer.
In polymorphism, I have method overloading and method overriding, I think.
You think?
Two concepts.
I didn't teach anything about polymorphism also.
Yes.
Yeah, someone say already said the answer. Method name. Method name is same, but either the type of parameters or number of parameters inside that method will vary. Okay, driver dot switch to dot frame. Here it takes integer or string or web element. I am going to go with the first one, integer. I am going to go to the first frame. That's why I am going to give driver dot switch to dot frame 1. Now if I run this, it will work properly, no doubt in that. Let me run this. Open the browser, open the URL. It has typed Pratap. No doubt in that. Understood?
yes, sir.
Yes. Let me give you a next task. Let me command this. You guide me how to do that. I'm going to command this. Now I need to click on this particular checkbox. I need to click on this particular checkbox. Right click, inspect by name equal to REP. Driver dot find element by dot name equal to REP dot click. Okay. If I run this, will it work properly?
No, sir.
No. Is that element is inside a frame?
Yes.
Yes. Driver dot switch to dot frame. Driver dot switch to dot frame. Okay. How can I come to know that whether that element is inside a frame? Right click, it shows this frame, which means that this element is inside a frame. Shows that this element is inside a frame. Now, see, this is what from the default frame, I need to switch to this frame. I need to switch to this frame. But imagine that the page is divided like this. This is the zeroth frame. Is this the first frame or this is the first frame? Quite a confusion again. Some of them will calculate horizontally, some of them will calculate vertically. If it is one or two iframes in a page, you can tell that which is the first one or second one. If you have too many iframes in the page and the page is divided horizontally, vertically like that, you cannot identify in which frame that element is located. So that I cannot use driver dot switch to dot frame integer. Driver dot switch to dot frame integer I cannot use because there are too many iframes in the page. In that case, I have to go with driver dot switch to dot frame string. Are you understanding why I am going to go with this driver dot switch to dot frame string?
Yes, sir.
Yes, driver dot switch to dot frame string. What string value I have to pass? What string value I have to pass? This is that particular element. Keep on moving upwards. This is the HTML page where this element is located. This HTML page is inside this particular frame. Of course, this is a frame where that element is located. Does this frame has ID? Does this frame has ID?
No, sir.
No. I am not asking about the element. I am asking about the frame. It has name attribute and src. Does this element has ID? No. Does it has name?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Copy that name and pass it. Pass either ID or name of that particular frame and let me run this. It will work now. Open the browser, open the URL and it will click on the checkbox. Understood everyone?
Sir, can you
Yes,
explain
sir.
once, please?
Who is that?
Means can My Chandra, sir. The bit confusion is there. That's
What is the confusion you have? Can you let me know?
this one second frame you have taken now, sir.
Hmm.
So how you have taken that one? That I want, sir.
Right click on that element, inspect that element first. This is that element. Keep on moving upwards. This element is inside this HTML page. This HTML is inside this particular frame, which means that this element is inside this particular frame. Have you understood?
Yes, sir.
Does this frame has ID?
No, sir.
Does it has name?
Name has, sir.
Yeah.
Okay.
Copy that
Okay.
and paste it here. I am going to switch to that frame. After switching, your focus will switch. By default, your focus is in the default frame. From the default frame, I have switched to this frame. Then I can keep start working on it so that it is working fine. Understood, Chandra?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Understood.
Okay, fine. Now, let me comment this. Imagine that there are too many iframes in the page, and now I need to click on this particular checkbox. I need to click on this particular checkbox. How? Right click, inspect. Imagine that there are too many iframes. Name equal to check I have. I need to click on it. Driver dot find element by dot name equal to check dot click. If I run this, will it work properly?
No, sir.
Why it won't work?
This is in another frame, sir.
Is it inside a frame first of all?
Yes, sir.
How can I come to know that whether that element is inside a frame?
Right click and
Right click this frame. Yes, of course, that element is inside a frame. But imagine that there are too many iframes, not only three. Imagine that they have put one more horizontal lines here, vertical, horizontal. There are too many iframes in the page. So that I cannot use driver dot switch to dot frame integer. What I have to do in that case? Driver dot switch to dot frame
wing.
String.
string. Okay, if you tell a string, what string value I have to pass? Identify either ID or name of that particular frame where this element is located. Right click and inspect. This is that element. This element is inside this HTML. This HTML is inside this frame. Does this frame has ID?
No, sir.
No,
Does it has name?
No,
no.
sir.
No. In that case, I cannot go with the second one also. Driver dot switch to dot frame string is also not possible. I cannot go with the first one because there are too many iframes in the page. I cannot go with the second one because there are because there is no ID or name of that particular frame. In that case, what I have to do? I have to go with driver dot switch to dot frame web element. If I am giving web element, what web element I have to pass here? Now, identify the X path of this particular frame. Identify the X path of this particular frame. Double forward slash frame at the rate src equal to third dot html. Now this is the X path of that particular frame. Driver dot find element by dot X path, which returns a web element frame. Yes. Now I can use that particular frame and I can switch over FRM. Yes, that's it. Driver dot switch to dot frame web element. Run this. Browser, open the URL and click on this checkbox. Yes. These are the three different ways how you can switch over between the frames and start working. Understood, everyone?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, okay. If you have understood, I am going to ask you a question. First, I will switch to this frame and I will type Pratap. First, what I did, I switched to this frame and I have typed Pratap. Then, what I did, I switched to this frame and I am clicking. I have switched to this frame and I am clicking on this checkbox. These are the steps what we have to do. We have to do. This is how to switch over between the frames. Will it work properly if I run this program? If I run this program, will it work properly?
Yes, sir.
Yes. But up to typing Pratap, it will work. After that, it won't work. Why? If you want to know why it won't, up to typing Pratap, it will work. After that, it won't work. See, by default, I am in this default HTML. From the default frame, I have switched to this frame. I have switched to this frame and I am starting working. After switching from here, directly you cannot switch to this frame. This is not possible. What you have to do, you have to switch back to the default frame. From the default frame, you need to switch to this frame and then only you have to start working. You have to go to the default frame, then only you have to start working. Have you understood the problem here, everyone?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Now I need to switch to the default frame. How to switch to the default frame? How to switch to the default frame here? After finishing your job here, switch driver dot switch to dot default content. It will switch to the default frame. Now if I run this, it will work properly work. Opens the browser, opens the URL, type Pratap and it has clicked on checkbox. Understood everyone?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Sir, after typing Pratap here, why we cannot switch from this frame to this frame? Why we cannot switch? I'll tell you the reason also why. Sometimes there will be inner frames. Sometimes there will be inner frames. Sometimes there will be inner frames. Sometimes there will be inner frames also. There is a radio button and a Google link. There will be inner frames. See, by default I am in the default frame. From the default frame I have switched to this frame. See, when you try to switch, it will switch to the inner frames only. It will switch to the inner frames only. It will switch to the inner frames. That's why. That's why after finishing your job, switch back to the default frame. From the default frame, you need to switch to this frame. Understood? Understood everyone why we have to switch to the default frame?
Sir.
What about others? Only one guy is answering. Have you understood, guys?
Yes, sir.
Okay. If I want to click on this radio button, I have to switch 3 times inside. From the default frame, I need to switch 3 times inside. I need to switch to this frame. From this frame, I need to switch to this frame. From this frame, I need to switch to this frame. Then only I need to click on this radio button. Hope you guys have understood if I want to click on the radio button, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes. After clicking on the radio button, if I want to click on this Google link, right? From here, if I use driver.switch to default content, directly it will go to the default frame. From the default frame, again I need to switch two times inside. Again I need to switch two times inside, and I need to click on this Google link. Understood?
Yes,
That
sir.
means every time you have to come to the default content.
Yes, from the if you use driver dot switch to dot default content, it will go to the default content. From the default content, then you have to switch two times. Yes, of course. Understood? But after clicking on the radio button, my goal is to switch one level to the parent frame. Am I correct?
Yeah.
If I want to switch one level to the parent frame also, I need to go to the default content. From the default content, I need to switch two times inside. Then I have to click on the Google link. But after clicking on the radio button, if you want to switch one level to the parent frame, if you want to switch one level to the parent frame, then I can use driver dot switch to dot parent frame also. Then going back to the default content and switching two times inside, I can use driver dot switch to dot parent frame. There is an option called parent frame also. But in our case, there is no inner frames concept. After typing Pratap here, after typing Pratap here, after typing Pratap here, if I use driver dot switch to dot default frame, where it will go? There is no inner frames concept, right? After type from default frame, I have switched one level inside. Then I have typed Pratap. From here, if I use driver dot switch to dot parent frame, where it will go?
Same frame, sir.
No, it will go to the default frame. The parent frame itself is default frame, right? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
After now in our case, either I can use driver dot switch to dot default content, or else I can use driver dot switch to dot parent frame, because there is no inner frames concept. Anyone I can use. Both are same only in our case. It will type Pratap and it will click on the checkbox also. It will do. Understood? But it's always better to use default content. Why? Because in future there might be inner implementations. That's why it is better to go with default frame. But I am teaching you all the way how to switch over. Okay. Now, by default, Selenium cannot identify the elements which is present in an iframe DOM. DOM in this is document object model. HTML page is called as a DOM. Okay. Can we quickly reconnect the meeting? And I will give you the notes.
Yes, sir.
Yes. See here, handling frames in WebDriver. Problem. WebDriver cannot understand the elements present in an iframe by default. It cannot search for any element which is present in an iframe DOM. Solution. Transfer the control of the WebDriver to the DOM of the frame using driver.switch2.frame. Frame method is a overloaded method with frame integer, string and web element. Frame integer. If the page has one or two iframes we can use this method by passing 0 based index of the frame. Can use this. Frame string. If an iframe has id or name property, we can use the value of the id or name property to find the iframe. This is that. Frame web element. If you have multiple iframes on the page and the frame does not have id or name property, we can use the web element arc and find the iframe. This is the one. After performing the action on an element inside a frame, if you want to come out of the frame, we can use driver.switch to default content. If you want to switch to the parent frame, then we have to use driver.switch to parent frame. How to identify an element inside a frame? Right click on the element in the Firefox. In the context menu, it shows this frame, which means that that element is inside a frame. Take down this.